And let me explain this too. Satan's been running the world since the beginning, but the way he does it is, okay, our Creator is referred to as the Most High God, and the reason that he's actually called the Most High God is because he actually himself considers all of his angels as actually gods too. But he's the Most High God. He's above them. And if you read Psalms 82, you'll actually see at a time whenever all the Satan and all of the fallen angels, when they had actually went before God, just like in the book of Job, you'll see that it says that all the sons of God came before God. And it says that Satan also came before God, and that's whenever the conversation about Job came up. So, I don't know the appointed times, but throughout this 6,000 year period that we've been going through, Satan and the fallen angels have periodically went before the Most High too. And anyway, this is at a time, Psalms 82 was at a time when God was calling them out. And he knew that they were ruling the world, and all this is playing out until the very end when God takes the world and puts it back under his jurisdiction. But in the meantime, they're being permitted to do what they're doing. And this is where he's calling them out. He's actually telling them, stop doing the evil things, stop misleading people, stop promoting evil down there, turn back to doing good. But he calls them out, and he pretty much tells them, that, hey, you're gonna die at the end of this for what you're doing. But this right here is where he's declaring that they're gods. So that's why I'm bringing this up. So Psalms 82, it says that God takes his place in the divine assembly. In the middle of the gods he judges. How long will you continue to judge with injustice? Now he's talking to these fallen angels because how they're ruling us down here. And show partiality to the wicked. Defend the lowly and the fatherless. Render justice to the helpless and destitute. Rescue the lowly and the poor. Save them out of the hand of the wicked. Talking about all the wicked humans down here. Save them out of the hand of the wicked. They do not know, nor do they understand. They are walking about in darkness. All the foundations of the earth are being shaken. I have said, you are gods. All of you are sons of the Most High. But you will die just as men do. And like any other prince, you will fall. So he's telling them, that, well, I read that initially just to show where he declares that they're gods. But he's telling them they're going to die for what they're doing. So, but anyway, all the angels that God created, all of his sons in the heavens, they're called angels. They're called watchers. They're called angels, messengers. They're called watchers, means guardians. They oversee everything that God's created. And they're also called gods, which are mighty ones, and because they have great power. Now, the ones that were fallen, the ones that are down here, they've been ruling over us since the very beginning. And see, God calls Satan, he calls him Satan, and he calls him devil, which means adversary and resistor. But Satan himself, he masquerades by many names. And so if you ever turn around, and again, he's been ruling since the beginning. All these gods that we've been dealing with on our world since the very beginning, these have been fallen angels. This has been Satan and the fallen angels down here. And if you pay attention, throughout history, you've had several empires since the beginning. You've had Babylon, and then you've had Medo-Persia, and then you've had Greece, and then you've had Rome, and now you have this global government they're trying to put in, this last empire. But if you pay attention, a lot of these empires, they have what? They had one head god, and a bunch of lower gods. And these fallen angels are gods. That's why, but they're demons. And if you pay attention, like look at Greece. If you go to Greece, what was their head god? Their head god was Zeus. And then they had all their lower gods. And if you go to Rome, what was their head god? Their head god was Jupiter. And you had all the lower gods. Matter of fact, the Romans knew that their Jupiter, their head god, they knew that the Greeks, their Zeus, their head god, they knew that they were the same god. And so, but what I'm getting to is Zeus and Jupiter have always been Satan. And all the lower gods were all his demons. And they've ruled over people since the beginning. To go a step farther, like if you were in Israel, back in the day when God had the original covenant with them and they had the temple and the high priest, he wore a headband on his head that it had God's name on the headband engraved. Because as God's high priest, he wore God's name on his headband, and that signified his head, that the high priest's head was God. So if you go to Egypt, the Pharaoh that ruled over all the people, if you look at his head covering, he had the serpent. He had the viper on his forehead, on his head covering. And because he worshipped the serpent god. And that's exactly what Satan is. He's a serpent. He's called a dragon. And so, like I said, they've ruled over. I mean, they're gods. All the angels are even called spirits. I mean, we're flesh and blood. They're not. They're not constructed of the same thing that we are. This is why, like I said, the Indians, the Native Americans, they worship their spirits. They were all gods. They were all fallen angels. The Mayans, the Aztecs, I mean, they had to do all their human sacrifices to their gods. I mean, they weren't worshiping the God of the heavens and the good. They were worshiping demons. That's why they were having to do human sacrifices. That's why this has been prevalent all through history. So this is why we've been dealing with so much evil on our planet all through history. So, and now, like I said, at the end, they went into hiding. They went into hiding after the Messiah. And because Christianity became so prevalent, so what they did is they turned around and they couldn't stomp out Christianity. They tried to stomp out the spread of Christianity that Jesus initiated, and they couldn't do it. So the next best thing is they just went into hiding, and they got behind Christianity and counterfeited everything. So, but that's a whole thing in itself. And, but all through history, all the gods that have been worshipped all through the world, that was paganism. Paganism is Satanism. It's exactly what it is. So, and today, anyway, that's the gist of that right now. I'll cover. So.